Welcome back to our viewers watching us around the world and in the United States this hour. I'm Hala Garani. The latest on Russia's war on Ukraine. Russia is expanding its invasion of this country, striking multiple cities that have not seen much fighting until now. That includes this airstrike in the western city of Lutsk Friday, when a local airport was damaged. Officials say 2 people were killed there. Ukraine is lashing out at the arrest of one of its mayors, which was caught on video. You can see it on the top of your screen. The mayor of Melitopol was taken away by a group of armed men on Friday, and a pro-Russian prosecutor later said the mayor is under investigation for possible terrorism charges. But President Zelensky said it's Russia who's acting like a terrorist group.
The actions of the Russian invaders will be equated with the actions of ISIS terrorists.
Well, Ukraine called the arrest an abduction that constitutes a war crime. And in Washington, meantime, the U.S. President Joe Biden is warning that there will be a price to pay if Russia uses chemical weapons in Ukraine. And that warning came after the U.S. and Ukraine said Moscow may be preparing to deploy those weapons while falsely accusing Kyiv of planning to do that. Nina Dos Santos has more, but we wanted you to know that some of the images in this report that you're about to see are graphic.
First, it was nuclear weapons Russia claimed Ukraine was working on. Now the Kremlin, with no evidence, is suggesting Kyiv has a secret chemical stash too. These allegations have been debunked multiple times, but fresh talk of chemical weapons is giving cause for concern.
What are these allegations of preparing chemical attacks? Have you decided to carry out dechemicalization of Ukraine? Using ammonia? Using phosphorus? What else have you prepared for us?
They not only have the capacity, they have a history of using chemical and biological weapons, and that in this moment we should have our eyes open for that possibility.
The White House warns Russia could be setting up a false flag operation, laying the groundwork for a chemical attack of its own, just as in Syria, where Russia was accused of providing cover for Bashar al-Assad's regime to use toxic gas on his own people.
Russia has this indirect complicity in chemical weapon use, and indeed even went out of its way to try to cover up the Syrian military's use of chemical weapons.
Thus far, we haven't seen Russia engaging in full chemical weapons warfare on innocent civilians in large numbers, have we?
It hasn't done that so far. But it is part of what leads people to worry that this is not, beyond the realm of possibility.
What weapons does Moscow have? No one knows exactly. There's no evidence that Russia has used more common chemical weapons like chlorine and sarin. All are banned internationally for their cruelty.
Russia would pay a severe price if they used chemical weapons.
That price is not yet clear, though.
How do you think the world would react?
It would be crossing a line, but it's not necessarily one that will spark a military response. If Putin knows that we will react militarily, then we know that he can decide when and on what terms the West enters this war, or NATO enters this war, which would be incredibly unwise.
At a UN Security Council meeting on Friday, the US was in no mood for disinformation.
Today, the world is watching Russia do exactly what we warned it would.
Russia is already facing calls for a war crime investigation for its alleged use of other banned weapons. The mere mention of chemical ones is a worrying escalation. Nina Dos Santos, CNN, London.
Well, to warfare now on